How's it going, guys? It's been a while since the last time we spoke. I've been working very hard. Didn't have much time to do anything but sleep and work and have my little food in between. If you remember, if you guys watched the first video that I posted, it was about the divide among people by the government to prevent us from uprising and taking them over in the sense of taking control and gaining what we want instead of what they want for us. That being said, I think that what the United States president has done is the most idiotic thing in the possible country of the history of the United States. How do you ban other countries that you suspect are terrorists when most of the terroristic actions that have been committed against the United States have been internal from rogue citizens who said, you know what, we're just going to do some crazy shit. The most recent being not JFK, I'm sorry, the Miami airport, the Florida airport, where it was a U.S. soldier, a citizen of the United States, who went rogue and decided to go and kill people. He wasn't Muslim, he was not from any of the Muslim associated nations, he was American. That being said, how stupid can you be to not let the smartest minds in the world enter the United States? A scientist said it, and I forget it, but he's one of the famous scientists that speaks on the Discovery Channel and sometimes the Science Channel, and he's also a college professor. But what he said is very true. He said the people of the United States are idiots, are stupid in a sense, in a real sense, because you go to school, you learn things, you don't learn things, you memorize things from the textbooks, and you accept it as a fact. And the way that they say that you're smart or you're a good student is you being able to repeat what was just told to you or memorize the textbook and the definitions. And then they say, oh great, you're a genius, you're smart, you've learned something, here's your 4.0 GPA, here's your scholarships and your medals and your little fraternity sleeves and jackets and everything else. But guess what? You're stupid because you cannot use that knowledge and information at all. You've just been taught to repeat it. You have not been taught to implement it. You have not been taught to scientifically think about it, question it, dissolve it, rebuild it, and to see if it was true or not. You're not doing that. You are told and taught by law enforcement, by the government, by your teachers, professors, that you should never question what's in the book. Well, who the fuck wrote the book and when was it written? Every time you get a new textbook, or every semester you have to buy new textbooks, the only revision there is the names that have submitted to this book, that contributed to this book. The facts never changed. They just add pretty pictures and say, hey, yeah, here were the dinosaurs, here was that, here's that, there's a molecule, there's an atom, this is the atomic weight. And, you know, if you want to go crazy with it, you can, but you're never taught anything new. There's no school has a curriculum that we're going to teach you new things. They're going to teach you old shit that's been passed down for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's just accepted as fact. What if the system was designed to keep you stupid, to keep you from questioning these facts? Because after all, if me or you or somebody else out there in the world found out that these facts were wrong and they were just placed there because it would be too crazy to change the whole system and rewrite all the history books and rewrite all the textbooks that are commonly being used and reused day in, day out, grade in and grade out. That would blow their mind. All these companies would lose business because they would be no longer able to repeat these lies or potential lies in their books. So the moral of the story is, the United States is the #1 importer of geniuses from other countries. Scientists, engineers, computer engineers, network software designers. These are the people who made America great. They created Silicon Valley. They developed these plans and programs and wrote applications way before you were doing apps on your little smartphones. They built the internet. The first internet signal was in California, from like Southern California to Northern California, and it was between two universities. It did not come from Americans. We're not taught to think. We cannot reach that level of genius, that level of thought. Why do you think every time somebody gets credit for something or there's a big software, it's always like an international name, Russian, Indian, Pakistani, and people from all over the world who are actually taught a standard, but are also encouraged to think. They're giving tools, they're given platforms, they're given the opportunity to work and think and create something, then present it to society. Instead of where in the United States, you get a piece of paper called a diploma, and now all of a sudden you're qualified to do all these things. Meanwhile, you haven't touched the instrument your whole life. If you're a psychiatrist or psychologist, even if you go through a tenureship, you haven't experienced all the disorders and all the people, but because you have this little paper, it says that you can help people and deal with people. And that person might not even be qualified or never has dealt with anybody with mental illness. Or how about the engineers? You know, you have something built. Let's say the Ford Motor Company built something in the United States. Next thing you know, there's over 100,000 cars recalled because they just can't do it. The Asian countries, Korean countries, they build their cars. They're exported to the United States. They do precision mathematics and machining. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 cars will fail, but their cars run over 300,000 miles. The American cars last to 180 and they die. This just shows you who's smarter and where the wisdom comes from and goes. So now imagine putting this ban on people who have families in other countries but are here working, engineering, designing for huge companies, Google, IBM, Apple. You think about it, all these people are working here on work visas, genius visas. It's a separate category. I don't know the exact number name thing combination, but that's what they're here. And now you're saying, oh, now your people cannot come to the country and visit you, and you're going to get deported. Well, guess what? This is a just cause. All those smart people are going to be like, well, fuck you, United States, and leave. Bring their wisdom knowledge with them. If they have any copywritten work, it's theirs. The United States cannot have it. And it'll take another 10 years to teach the idiots in the United States educational system and college and universities to get up to that level to even start thinking of creating something similar that they have. Nowadays, people go to college for financial gain and wealth, not for prosperity of knowledge or invention. All these Ivy League schools are business schools, accounting, business, all these majors that are only geared to make that personal individual money with no benefit to society or those around them. There's no more, prosperity to become a doctor or a nurse, because how many doctors have been sued for medical malpractice, where now, even if you're a gynecologist in America, you have to pay a $200,000 liability insurance for your practice. Even if you're making $1 million, that's a third of your salary gone. And whenever we talk about the taxes or anything else that may occur, nobody wants to be a doctor anymore. Why do you think when you go to hospital you speak to Indian doctors? Because not only have they passed and surpassed the qualifications in their country, they came to the United States with their international knowledge and said, we'll pass your test too, we'll do it, and we'll show you that we're good doctors. And then you have the nerve to sit here and say, oh yeah, we don't want any immigrants here. Well, how about we just send all your immigrant doctors and dentists and repairmen out and see what the fuck you're going to do with yourself? What are you going to do, fix your own car? Or are you going to fix yourself when your appendage is hanging off because you were so stupid cutting something that you didn't realize that you were cutting your own finger while you were doing it? How about the ER people? When your wife is giving birth to a kid, you don't call Dr. Johnson, you call Dr. I don't know, by some sort of foreign name, to wake up in the middle of the night, rush to the hospital, and do this. But there's no appreciation there. This country has taught you, oh, immigrants means Mexicans, or immigrants means, some other class of people. No, these are genius smart people who came to this country because they have a skill to offer us. They get incentives from the United States to do so. But you know what? We've come to such a fucked up point in the United States that I hope that they leave. I hope that they all leave and the people of the United States see the horror of what they created. I want to see you guys sit there and be like, oh my God, I have no more doctor. Or I can't go to the hospital because there's only one doctor for every single person in there. And guess what? He doesn't have the time or capability to see everybody. Or how about your repair people? How about the restaurant cooks? So even if they are Mexican, there's no white people back there preparing your food. In an Italian restaurant, there's no white people cooking your shit. It's all Hispanic people who might be even smarter than that position. But guess what? Right now, they don't have any papers. United States have made it impossible to become a legal citizen. So they're working these, $6 an hour jobs in cash, but they're working their asses off behind the scenes. You never see it. You don't know. Because there's been a blindfold put in front of you by these companies and these logos out there saying, oh yeah, no, we're Applebee's. Yeah, we're Great American Grill and Food Bar thing. And if you step behind it, you're going to see poor people who've been on their feet for fucking 14 hours cooking and scrubbing dishes and creating these things for you to eat and think, oh yeah, no, this is an all-American company. You're fucking wrong. All your landscapers, all your assistants, everybody in the hospitals who cleans those fucking sheets, doctors, Indian doctors, Pakistani doctors, Iranian doctors, all these people of the world, Russian doctors, who are there fixing your children while you're talking shit about immigrants. Because immigrant is a broad term. It's not just one type of people. It's everybody who came from other countries to this country. If it wasn't for immigrants, there'd be no New York. New York would be a fucking forest. Because when the Italians and the Irish came here and all the other settlers, they were also the equivalent of what you white people call Mexicans. They were the Mexicans of that time. But they survived. Some of them didn't eat. Some of them lived, tent to a house just to make ends meet. But they worked and they built this country. No Anglo-Saxon from Europe came here and did that. Those Anglo-Saxons, which are what you call your white people, the British rebels, the lawbreakers, came here, said, okay, here's this land. Well, we're fucking lazy because back over there in Britain or England, we didn't do these things. We had maids. So what did they do? They enslaved other people, made them do it, and then kind of blended in and intermingled and created the white, quote-unquote, white American. So that's why I get offended when you call me white. I'm not white. There's no British royal blood in me. Those are totally different people. My skin color may be white, but I'm not white. White is Anglo-Saxon. Look it up. Anglo-Saxon. Those are the British rebels. The same British rebels that were criminals and got sent down to Australia because that was the only place you could put them where they wouldn't cause any trouble or murder or rape. But, people don't really talk about that in textbooks because that would be too controversial for America and the quote-unquote Americans. So, let this shit hit the fan. The message here is that even though America is ignorant and stupid for the majority part, you guys need to see what happens when the government divides people. It's going to be, instead of us versus them, the government being them, and trying to stop their bullshit, this is going to cause civil unrest amongst the people. Your neighbor could be an immigrant, but you don't know because he has the same thing as you do. The same house, the same car. There's no ID tag saying this is immigrant or she's immigrant or he's immigrant, the kids are immigrants. You don't know this. But when people, there's more of them than there are native people of America. American-born people, there's more immigrants in America. It's always been like this. So what happens if they rise up against the Anglo-Saxon dream of let's deport them and build a wall? What's going to happen when they get together and maybe they're smart enough where they're not going to be like, oh, those Mexicans over there, those Muslims over there. How about if they all ganged up together and said, no, we, the immigrants, instead of we, the people, are against the American people? Now what? Now when they crush all of you because there's more of them than there is of you, they'll fight against the government and they'll succeed. And guess what? You will become insignificant. And you will be fearing and asking for forgiveness and trying to smooth things out. Wake up. Wake the fuck up. Anglo-Saxon America needs to wake up and really look down at where they came from and where their families came from. This is not a joke, people. This is real time. This is what's happening in this world, in the United States. And everybody's watching. All the nations are watching. Like, look at you fucking little idiots over there who start wars with everybody, start shit, blame others, and then fuck it up for yourselves. And fuck it up for everybody else. This is going to lead up to a great war. If not a civil war, an international war. Where it will be World War III, but somehow I hope that the nuclear buttons aren't pushed. It would just be pushed to an extent like any American outside of America will be either killed, shot, or deported. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is we're all fucked and we all get nuked. So how about that? Start thinking. Start joining as a people instead of segregating and pointing fingers. Because after all, that's how the Nazis in Germany started. They said, well, instead of going us against the government, we'll go us against them. Because now we need to blame somebody. And who do we blame? Well, we're going to blame the Jews. Well, guess what? In America, right now, the same shit is happening. Well, we can't blame ourselves, even though we've been fucking up for 200 years in America. So we're going to point the finger at the immigrants. That's how genocide happens. That's how civil wars happen. And that's exactly in 2017, at the most advanced time of our civilizations, when it comes to terms of technology and medical breakthroughs, you want to fucking eliminate each other. What kind of fucking stupid shit is that? And I don't curse. But this needs to be expressed in a way where the stupid people of America understand. You're all fucked. If you keep going with pointing the fingers and saying them against me, or them against us, or whites against blacks, or Americans versus immigrants, you're going to be fucked and you'll be in a position exactly where the government wants you to be. The only step after that, if there's civil unrest, is martial law. Guess what happens after martial law to those people who don't behave? FEMA camps. You see the states are seceding. You see California wants to secede. Texas and Florida, they're thinking about it. Because they don't want to be a part of the fucking assholiness of America. But that's okay. You will learn, and we'll see how this turns out when days come. My message to you is the same message that all the people of peace have been preaching. Anonymous, all of us who are anonymous. All the peacekeepers of the world who say it's not us versus them. It's us as people, as humans, as homo sapiens of the planet against the ruling class, which being the government and the financial and political elite. We need to stop them. We need to do it. The time is now.